as terrible as that experience was and as tragic as it was, I used it as leverage and like almost like the reason, as if I needed an excuse to change what I was doing.
You call yourself the Ambitious Introvert. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I believe that there's so much density around the word introvert. So many people think that if you're an introvert, like you can't be a leader. And I had so many judgments placed on me as a child growing up and as a teenager because I was quiet and I was always observing. And people would say, you're so shy, you're so quiet. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm actually not. I don't have interest in shallow conversations, and I don't mean that to sound like rude, but like I like to go deep with people. I don't want to talk about sports. I don't want to talk about what a lot of people around were talking about. And so I really took control of those judgments around what it means to be an introvert, and I decided to use it as fuel and to just show that if you're an introvert, you can still be a leader. You can still profoundly influence people's lives, and it's okay.
So you and your wife have a new business venture, which is amazing, and it's right here, the Empowered Healers Academy.
Yeah.
How did this come to be?
I was a heavy equipment operator, and that's what I thought my life was going to be. I was like, I'm going to be a grader operator. I'm going to make 30 some bucks an hour, and I'm like, I'm going to be set for life. Like this was my way of thinking, I would say just 4 years ago. And 4 years ago, almost to the day, I started to get tired. Like my soul just started to get tired. And I would get home after working like 14-hour days, and I'd be untying my work boots, and I'd smell my neighbors, like they'd be cracking beer and like having barbecues and laughing, and I was resentful towards them. Like I was pissed off. It was like, but I'm choosing this. And so I really felt like I needed to kind of find myself. And so I booked a trip to Costa Rica alone without my spouse to do sea turtle conservation because I love animals. So I was like, okay, well, I'll meet people and maybe this will inspire me somehow. So I was supposed to go for a 3-week trip, and about 6 days into the journey, it was April 10th, I found out that my dad committed suicide. So here I am all alone on I'm like out in the middle of nowhere, terrified, and I don't know how to get back home. And it was just like instant trauma. At the time, I didn't know that it was suicide. I just heard that he died. So immediately my spouse got everything set up, thankfully, and she flew me home right away. And when I came back, I found out that he took his own life. And so in that moment, like when you endure an extreme trauma like that, I believe that you have two choices. You can either let that fire engulf you and swallow you, or you can use that fire to propel you. And so as terrible as that experience was and as tragic as it was, I used it as leverage and almost like the reason, as if I needed an excuse to change what I was doing. And it was such a wake-up call to go, whoa, wow. And so I had to venture into my own healing. And I sought out all the trauma therapy that I could imagine finding, personal development. I just became obsessed. And that kind of, in a roundabout way, led to healing some of the most traumatic experiences in my own life. And I believe that when you heal yourself, you start to heal the collective because you start to shine brighter and you give permission to others to do the same. And so over time, I started to do all these trainings, and I became obsessed with helping liberate other people of their suffering. And then it was just like this divine awakening and inspiration to start the Empowered Healers Academy and teach healers how to heal, because they're the ones, healers and entrepreneurs and those who are supporting them, I believe, can radically change the earth, but not if they're the ones that aren't in their power.
Right.
So that was kind of how it all came to be, I suppose.
What are some of the techniques that you utilize within the academy?
So my spouse and I, like I mentioned, so we went through a lot of trauma healing to heal our own trauma. And we basically, through all of the experience in transforming our lives, we distilled from some of our mentors and programs and courses and personal life experience, and we've come up with what we call subconscious imprinting. So we're driven by our subconscious mind. So from the age of 7, most of our foundational belief systems are made up. We're heavily indoctrinated by our parents, society, school, religion, whatever it is. And we take those beliefs and we don't never question them. It's like the poem, "Roses are red, violets are blue." Violets aren't blue. Violets are violet. They're purple, right? But nobody questioned that damn poem. So it's like, what else in your life are you not questioning? So what we do with subconscious imprinting is we help you uncover any trauma, and a trauma doesn't have to be some big radical event. It can be the environment you grew up in, it can be an event, it can be an experience, or it can be an emotion that's just jarred into your nervous system. So we can uncover what trauma basically is locked into your body. So we ultimately teach healers how to uncover those patterns within themselves so that they can heal themselves, so that they can start making money, so they can start making impact, so they can start putting themselves out there proudly, standing in their power and in their light. And it's profound. And then once they can do that for themselves and shift their own life, well, now they can go and do this for clients. And we're creating an army of light workers ultimately because more people need this work.
Okay, so what does the technique look like? Like if you were to do some energy work with me, or if let's say I was one of your students, what does that look like? Just so that they can get an idea of what they would be jumping into.
Totally, okay. So ultimately someone comes to you with a reason. So the reason that they're there, this can be a physical body pain. Your body's just communicating to you. So it could be a physical body pain, or it could be a behavioral pattern that you're so frustrated by. I can muscle test your body, a series of questions, and your body's going to tell me exactly what I need to know. So if I was to muscle test you for, like, let's say age 6, you felt abandoned by dad. It might be something that I would pull up. I'd say, so what was happening when you were 6? You know, I'd get the whole story, and then we would clear it. We would clear it from your subconscious mind and reprogram your mind with what you do really want. And it's wild, the healing that can happen just from acknowledging that you felt abandoned when you were 6 by your dad. Because a lot of people don't acknowledge those things. We repress them and suppress them. And the only problem with that is that it shuts you off from being able to receive what life really could be now. And it's totally a perception, and I know that this is kind of like regurgitated in the personal development world, but life is not happening to you. It is absolutely happening for you. If my dad hadn't done what he did, if he didn't take his own life, we wouldn't have the Empowered Healers Academy, and we wouldn't have these 12 students whose lives we're now witnessing transform. So take trauma and leverage it. That's like, is such a gift if you choose it to be.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for watching. If you like these videos and want to join us on our ride of our web series Life of a Producer, then like and subscribe here. Right here. That's right. You got it.